Well, welcome back everyone. This is it. Today is Judgment Day. Since starting this, my first build over a year ago, I knew there was one big elephant in the room, and that was carving the neck is going to be an absolute pain in the butt, or at least I expect it to be. As I've mentioned in probably just about every video in this series, I chose to make my neck primarily out of palm wood, and palm wood is not even wood really, and it has some very strange properties. It's effectively made up, as many woods are, of a soft material and a hard material kind of sandwiched together. However, in the palm wood, as you can see, it's not in a kind of standard grain ring pattern. It's more in kind of just little flecks, and those little flecks, the dark bits, are very easy to pull out, easier than any tear out I've ever seen before. So while carving my first neck, the preferred method would definitely be to take either a rasp of some kind, such as one of those Shinto rasps, or a spoke shave, and take my time with it. I just don't trust blades cutting into this, especially when I get down close to the final shape. I only have, I think, to hand some very blunt rasps that just would not be perfect for the job at all. So I've got to work with what I've got, and what I've got is the angle grinder. I've used the angle grinder for carving before on my body, and it went pretty well. I found it surprisingly easy to control. It shouldn't be understated that it is fairly dangerous. I've seen some horror stories of people using the rasp discs on these made out of metal. I'm just using the sanding discs, and even then they can still go straight through some regular safety gloves like these. Oop. I've took the knuckles out of a few pair of these gloves before, but at least it probably wouldn't, like, you know, slice through bone before I felt it. But actually I expect the angle grinder to be fairly easy to control here. We're going straight lines down the neck. The only things that are going to make it a little bit difficult for myself are that I don't really have a vise at the moment. I only have clamps to work with. I don't even have, well, I do have a Black & Decker workmate, which is down at the garage, but you know, there's not an easy way to hold the work. Ideally it would be good to do this with the neck glued in, because then the body could be clamped down and the neck would be freestanding for me to work on. But I'm that concerned about this neck just falling apart when I try to shape it that I didn't want to glue it in only to have to try and remove it. So the battle plan is we're going to take it nice and easy with the angle grinder. I will explain the method that I'm going to follow, and we'll see how it turns out. Now, before we jump straight in with the angle grinder, it's going to make life a lot easier for myself if my blank is of the correct proportions. At the moment, the line going along the back of the neck is not straight, and it's also not quite the correct thickness. My fretboard's fairly thick at the nut end and a little bit thinner at the 12th fret. Therefore I just need to take a little bit more out the nut end on the back, and also just try and straighten up the line to give myself a fighting chance of being accurate with the angle grinder. I had thought about jigging this up and putting it through the belt sander, similar to what I did when thicknessing my headstock, but to be honest with you, I think I'm just going to freehand it for now. So that's actually feeling a lot better. That feels a lot more like a neck in the hand, even though I haven't carved it yet. It actually feels about the thickness that a neck should be, which is great. That's definitely a lot more steady and a lot flat along the back. Unfortunately, at the end where I've had to lift it off the table to work it, I have put a little bit of a tilt in it there actually, which hopefully we should be able to work out as we go. But there's nothing more for it. It's angle grinding time. In order to give myself a guide, I'm basically following the recommended beginner method of halving the width of the neck and then quartering the width of the neck and just taking that quarter off. I actually have another piece of tape down on the side here which you can't see, which is actually going halfway up. So what we're putting in there is a fairly steep chamfer on either edge, and then if that goes okay, we will then effectively put more and more straight chamfers onto the side to make it into a kind of like a half hexagon kind of shape. You'll see as we go. But let's bring on the power tools. think the camera had a little bit of an overheat there, so I've just given it a chance to have a little bit of a break. Let's zoom in and show you how we're doing so far. So as far as this side of the neck's concerned, I think we're just about there. There's a little bit more to take off here, and you can just about see the edge where it's kissing the fretboard. Needs a little bit more to come off, but I'd be happy to do that with scrapers or sanding, I think. And then when you come right the way along to the heel, there's still a fair bit more to come off. Where I've put this piece of tape is actually probably about 1/2 centimetre or so past where the neck's actually going to join the body, so I could actually remove quite a lot of material here. It just hasn't been my priority so far. So far the priority has just been to get the basic neck shape in. The other side of the neck, still got a fair bit to go. That's still quite flat. It only really had sort of the initial carve into it, so I've got to go right the way around the edge on that side. So that is what I'm going to try and do now. That's starting to feel like a good rough shape now. There's definitely, you know, loads of little bumps and everything I can feel, which I'm not going to be able to get out with the angle grinder. That's far too delicate, so I'm going to have to switch to hand tool soon. I might actually see if it will tolerate a scraper, but before we get into that, one more thing to do the angle grinder, I think, is going to be address this heel and try and just cut it down in size a little bit more. So before we put the angle grinder away, that's the next job. Well, not to blow my own trumpet, but for first time carving a neck, rough carve with an angle grinder, I think that's gone really, really well. There are some little bits of the white stuff left, which I'm hoping I can get with the scraper. But other than that, there's not really a lot to say. I think the heel still needs shaped a little bit, but it's getting there. It's definitely more in the right proportions now. That wood's going to look so good when it's got finish on it, I think. Getting quite excited about the guitar now. So yeah, as I say, that's just the rough carve with the angle grinder. I still need to set about it with some scrapers and of course sanding it. Might even have a little go at the volute and the heel end, possibly even with a file or something. But time's getting on and I need to call it a day, so that seems like a good place to stop. But yes, I'm very happy with that. It's also a good point just to let the neck rest for a couple of days and make sure it doesn't move. I don't think it's going to, but you never know. Here's a shot from the other side. Lovely. Well, next time we're just going to be refining this a little bit further, probably with scrapers. But until then, goodbye.